guess we'll get started. Unless we got some visitors here tonight. Y'all got anything that you need to bring before the council?
Sure. My name is Pam Villavazzo. I'm a resident here of Algood for about 15 years. And I had requested some records on L&W signs, and they sent those back to me. So I would like to give you guys a copy of it just to, and it's kind of got a little bit of the concerns that we have. These are ethical issues, and I think we're supposed to address it with the attorney. Is the attorney present tonight?
He's not.
Okay.
We have several ethical issues that you addressed in the newspaper, and you said your quote was, if we're presented, you'll address them in an open manner, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these because you are a member of MTAS, ethical, and
by the way, we're the Algood Action Committee. I didn't
Section 10 of that says that if these ethical questions are brought before your attorney, he has to rule on them. MTAS has already ruled on them. You disregarded their ruling in the newspaper, but they did rule on them. So now we need the attorney's ruling on the ethical
Here, I'll pass that over to you. This is just a breakdown of all the receipts and records that we receive. And I don't know how much that these things normally bid out for. Chances are Mr. Norris has given you guys a really good deal, but that's not really the issue. The issue is someone who is sitting as a council member and also as the fire chief ethically shouldn't really be doing work for the city, not unless it's free. So that's the number one concern right now.
Okay. And I did address my position on those, and I've not ignored MTAS. I've taken advice of our council. And MTAS doesn't speak directly. Their case law that they've presented here doesn't speak directly to our situation. So we're holding, he's consulting with MTAS. He's talking to MTAS.
your attorney is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, is there another sign company here in Algood?
No, ma'am. And that's the other exemption there, that he's the only provider in the municipality.
What about Freddie Nelson?
He's not assigned yet.
He's not assigned yet? And
Trophies.
I put some questions at the end of that. One of the questions was, have these contracts been bid out?
No, ma'am. They're not required to be bid out.
So is L&W Signs the exclusive contractor taking up the banners and putting them down now? Does that used to fall under?
No, we've got a bucket truck now.
Okay, so is that going to go back to?
Yes, ma'am. And you know, the reason that that was changed, and I think that's, you know, you look at the dates on your request here, we've gone back before we went in office here.
Well, you guys were very kind about providing those records.
Well, I mean, we're required to, and we want to be open and honest.
Yeah.
But as you can tell, this is the way this has been done since before I got here.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there's. If you look over here in this last column where it says authorized and paid by, it starts with Freddie Maxwell. There's some other people on here too. I know Chief Eldridge is on here, and I think there was a Paxton or a Patton. Or
Patton, I don't know who that would be.
Patterson.
Patterson.
So I mean, I realize that this is, you know, something that has been done this way for a long time.
Yeah, running across 3 administrations.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like that we've changed anything. This is the way this has been done.
But we're having a lot of ethical issues right now going on in Putnam County, and if you take a step back and look at it, I mean, Wendy Atkins, she probably didn't feel like she was doing anything wrong at all. You know, she probably didn't feel like that there was an ethical violation there. And when you're inside of the situation, sometimes you don't see it from the outside. But to other people, this doesn't look the same way. You know, and that's all that the Action Committee is about, playing fair.
Well, the irony here is that I committed when I took office to being open and honest, and we record our minutes.
I noticed that. You know, I love the new website. I've been paying attention to that.
Our meeting minutes are on the website. You know, the actual recordings are on the website. We had problems before I took office with losing ordinances and ordinances getting voted on and no real record on them, and there were lots of irregularities from from that side of the coin, and I just felt like that we owed it to the citizens to record what we're doing and we've done that. And you know, since I took office, I mean, the very first meeting, I offered the microphone to the public at the end of every meeting. So I mean,
I think
you
that's
know,
a great step forward. That's not the way things have ever been done before.
Certainly.
I don't think a lot of people know about the website yet.
Well,
It is.
and so if you don't know about something here in Algood, you're either not looking or not asking or not coming to council meetings or not paying attention. So, you know, I personally have never tried to hide any of this, and this is the way this is done and the way it's been done.
I don't think there's anything intentionally that's been done wrong.
You know, again, the legality, even that MTAS said, unless he, the last sentence there, unless he's the sole supplier in the municipality, and he is. And
Well,
so here's, let's, in the interest of playing fair, okay, Ruby has voted for Jim Eldridge. And she sat on this council for 2 years. And she's still on this council. She's not here tonight. After a big election, she loses, and then she brings up these issues, wrote a letter to MTAS, didn't ask our attorney, didn't bring the concern to me, didn't present it before the council. Then when she got a letter from MTAS, she didn't give it to me, she didn't give it to our attorney, she gave it to the press. So now if we say we're playing fair, let's play fair.
I can't really speak for Ruby.
Well,
I mean,
I assume y'all are together.
she's on the same committee as us, but you know, there might be some sour grapes here. I don't really know. That's not my issue though.
So to this moment, I have not been presented with a letter from MTAS, from anybody officially, to this moment.
But it has been ruled on, right? It has been ruled on.
I've seen it in the paper.
You didn't see the ruling? You didn't get a copy of the ruling?
I mean,
Oh,
You didn't, we can give you a copy of it, that'd be fine.
it's not an
There's 3
official-
items that were ruled
not an
on.
official copy, right?
Official.
I've not received an official copy from
Okay.
anybody in an official government position, is what I'm trying to
Here's
tell
a
you.
copy of it.
If you
I've
would like,
seen
we
that.
can-
No, I would like this woman to send this government this thing, because she's not done it.
Oh, you mean Miss Hawkins?
No,
Or
the woman from MTAS.
Oh, okay.
Sent it to Miss Hawkins, an outgoing council member,
Mm-hmm.
who took it directly to the press.
Well,
She's not interested in playing fair. She's not interested in getting to the bottom of something, and she's not interested in right and wrong. She's interested in sharpening her pencil and personal vendettas against Victor Jones and Jim Eldridge.
is this lady doing a vendetta against them too? This lady from MTAS?
Ma'am, I have not been presented with an official document from an official government entity. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So you're having your attorney ask
Yes,
the
ma'am.
ruling on it. But
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are having your attorney. That's all we want to know.
Yes, ma'am.
We just want to know if the attorney's looking into these issues.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 3 separate issues.
And our position at this state is exactly like I presented it in the newspaper. 1, L&W Services is the sole supplier of sign company in this municipality, which makes it okay. 2, I've not signed a single check to L&W Services, and William Norris, as a person, does not sit on this council. Number 3, the law, the Thompson case that they speaks to an elected member sitting on a board, appointing one of its own members to serve in an appointed position. At one point in time, Norris was appointed by this board to be the fire chief. And they brought up this case, and this case does speak exactly to that, right? Because he sits on this board, he can't be the fire chief because this board oversees that position.
Yeah.
But that's not what we have here. Jim Eldridge does not sit on this board. So Jim Eldridge answers to this board. And if Victor Jones quit work tomorrow, and we could talk Jim into taking over Public Works as well, we could do that. He could have more than one department.
Not if one department answers to you.
Certainly, we could just eliminate the position.
Well,
See
to
what I'm saying?
go back one step, I just want to say that we're not trying to, you know, embarrass anybody publicly. We don't plan on, you know, we would like to handle things in the right way. That's
I
why
differ with
we're
that.
here.
I differ with that 100%.
Well, I'm not Ruby Hawkins.
As exemplified by the fact that your document didn't come to this government, your document went to the press.
I didn't
So
send
what
it to the
are,
press.
what are your committee, when I speak as you're representing a committee, and Ruby's on the committee. So I'm going to assume you means that collective committee. Okay? You, that collective committee, did not present this to us. Present it to the press. So when you say your interests are for the citizens of Algood, I can't see it.
Mr. Mayor, this has been brought to your attention that this was a conflict of interest.
And I've been advised by 2 attorneys that it's not.
By several different people.
2 attorneys that we pay that it's not.
Okay, well, it has been brought to your attention by several people. And during the election, all the people that went around and knocked on doors, that was the first question that was asked. Is this not a conflict of interest to the citizens?
And those people did not get elected.
But the citizens,
Not all the citizens, ma'am, a minority of the citizens.
Citizens have a right.
Certainly. And they express their opinion.
This board right here is disregarding the citizens.
I'm not disregarding. I've taken council advice, and that's where I am.
Well, that's what we need to be. That's where we need to be.
What is it you're for? What is it you want me to do?
We want the.
I know what you're against. What are you for?
We want the council to rule if this is indeed a conflict of interest.
My attorney has advised me that she does not speak. That case does not speak to this situation.
She's cited several cases. She's
No,
gone.
she hasn't. The Thompson case, right?
She's gone to the Tennessee Supreme Court with this. This
The
is gone.
Thompson case. No, ma'am. This case is not gone. She's citing case law.
Right.
Case law that doesn't directly apply here.
So
And
your attorney's saying she's wrong.
My attorney said there is no case law that speaks to this situation. You see, it does not speak to this situation.
Okay. And I guess the only other recourse then is the citizens to sue.
I suspect that would be the next step.
Well, let's try to work things out.
So what's the downside here? So we're talking conflict of interest. If we take a department head out and let Jim Eldridge be the department head over administration, he's the department head over the police, he's the department head over public works. We save $100,000. What's the downside?
Well, when you go into office, you don't just agree to uphold the charter, but you also agree to uphold the confidence in the government in all this. And when you have one person that has undue influence over another area, which Mr. Eldridge actually does, if he's the chief of police and he's also the city manager, then the chief of police does answer to the city manager. So there's undue influence there.
Influence how? I mean, I'm not getting it because
there's the potential.
Jim has no independent authority except the authority given to him by the charter and by this council.
Now, I've heard different things, but I don't know for sure, so I'm going to ask you. What percentage of the new city hall is going to be devoted to the police department?
I don't know the answer. Do you know the answer?
I'm sure somebody planned it out what you're going to use the...
I would say not even a third. I mean, it's the bottom lower level is probably less than a fourth.
Yes, and I've heard the rumor that every police officer has his own office, which is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I haven't. I've also heard the I'd like to know questions to the press. How come the city hall is so big?
Yeah.
How come if Jim Eldridge can be both of them, we can't afford a police chief and a city administrator, why we got to have such a big city hall? Those questions are anonymously sent to the press with the entire purpose of antagonism, with the entire purpose of trying to embarrass this council and me personally. And here's the fact. We had a very, very open, and I've not seen you at council meetings, right?
I've not been to council meetings.
So you suddenly become concerned, but I've been concerned up there for a while. So we had a very open, sent out a request for proposals, bids, what we're calling it nowadays, to all architects in the area, Knoxville, Atlanta. I mean, there were architects from everywhere. Let's show you where my heart is. My heart's in the right place. The architects came to the table, a lot of them, in an open public meeting. We gave them all the same information. And then this council sat down and said, how about we keep this local? We've got enough local talent that we can have this building designed locally. And you know what we did? We got six local architectural firms. I'm going to show you my ethics right here. And we put these firms in the same room, paid them $500, $1,000, whatever it was, to participate in this process. Gave them our outline of what we thought. And we've got a citizens advisory committee that was involved in that too, of what we thought our vision of that city hall ought to be, what it ought to look like, kind of keeping with the old town look, serving our needs for the next 50 years. We had that, they all had meetings together with the department heads who presented, here's our workflow, here's how we do this, here's our workflow, here's how we do this. Here's where the cars, you know, they're coming up and this girl's got to do this job and this job and this job, so she needs to be able to access all 3 areas here. So all the architects in the group, and Dan, if I'm missing any of this, speak up. All the architects in the group got the same information from every department head. And we went so far to make sure this was a level playing field, is that if any architect in the group had a question of the city, hey, how do you think this ought to be done? They would email the chief and I. We would get an answer from the council and send the entire email, question and all, right back to every other architect, so that we had an even playing field through the entire process. A really neat public process. And they came to the city hall and one by one, in a 1 or 2 hour presentation, presented their ideas and their floor plans, and they came out with the neatest process. We value engineered this thing, we worked together as a team. We chose an architect in a very public process. We've chosen every supplier. The general contractor was the first guy in. He saved us lots, the architect has saved us, has saved us lots of money by the way we've done the process. And we've set a top number on that building. And we've hit our heads against it, and hit our heads against it, and hit our heads against it. So we're not moving off this number. Well, and so our hearts are right. This was a public process, and you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
Okay, so whose fault is that you weren't there?
I just found out
now, you just now found out that we were building the building.
No, not that you were building the building. I mean, everybody that's driving past the building is thinking, okay, there's about 3,000 residents in Algood. That's not changed in the last 15 years I've lived here.
But
so why do we need?
Look, here's why we need that. Look, right there. Look upstairs. If this room fell in tomorrow, it wouldn't surprise me. You can't.
Well, I'm not saying y'all don't need a new building, but
so
I'm saying
we need the space.
When you're talking, is it $3 million or $4 million that's being spent?
3.2 is our number.
Well, with fees and everything.
With fees and everything.
The construction cost is under
$3 million, 2.8 for the construction.
And how about the land and all that's included in it?
Very public, no ma'am. The land's a different deal, that's correct.
Okay, how much is that?
I don't know the figure right off my head.
Okay, I don't know the figure.
And when you break that down, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you break that down per household, how does this benefit the citizens of Algood? What's the average benefit?
I'm gonna break this down. How many households do we have?
When I asked the other day about the water bills, there was like 2,800 and some odd number.
Well, so let's just see. Let's get real on the numbers. Let's just say $4 million. $4 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Divided by, say, 2,500 households. How many households?
28. Might as well round it up to 29.
Let's back and do that.
We've got a lot going over there.
That's $1,379 per household today. But we're going to use this building for 50 more years. So we can divide this $1,379 today, divided by the use of that building, 50 years. So let's do that. It's like $27 a household. That don't even sound right. That sounds high to me. It's just not a lot of money. And there's cash in the bank. We're not floating a bond. We're not committing your children to paying for this building that they're going to be using the next 50 years.
But there's other things that could have been done that would have benefited the citizens of Algood more.
There's the children.
Like what, a swimming pool? Because that's the last thing you asked me for.
No, we asked for a park. We've been begging for a park for years.
Some kind of a park, with the train starting to go down through here.
And we're committing into that. And we're working on that. But it doesn't have to be an either-or proposition. And
no,
it just doesn't
I'm not
have
the
to
elected official, so
okay,
it's not my call on what that you do.
But clearly it is.
At the same time, I am a citizen. I do have a say on it.
But
and I heard there's a lot of things that I'm sorry, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of things that I've been hearing that I actually want to find out about. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
You know, like I've been hearing that people are going to be held in the jail over there.
There's no jail.
The's not going to be.
There's no jail. There's no
facility.
Dan, are there any jail cells?
No jail cell.
Not one jail cell.
All right. See, that's something that's why I need to be.
See what I'm saying? So when you open up and shine the light, and we got a light, we got a big light. We came to office with a big light. We want to shine the light on everything that's gone on before this. We've dug out and dug out and dug out. Listen to me. We have dug out $200,000 of canceled checks, not canceled checks, open checks, out of the safe. And here's how this was done before we got here. Here's how this was done. You put in a neighborhood, and you're supposed to bond for a street. And what the bond does is guarantees you put in the street, right? Mm-hmm. That's what a bond does. You buy the bond from a third party, and if you go bankrupt, we cash that bond, and we put in the street, the city. So the bond is there to protect the city, right? The way we did that before we got here is the developer wrote a check, and we put that check in the safe, and we held that money. No, not the money, we held the paper. If the developer went bankrupt, what good is the paper? Zero. Correct? We dug out $200,000 worth of those kinds of checks out of the safe. We were getting on our audits over and over and over again dings because we had no internal control on our money. Because one person was taking the money, receiving the money, making the deposits. We fixed that. We have dug and dug and fixed, and it hurts me personally to be accused of being dishonest.
Well,
no one's accused you of being dishonest.
Well, I think you have.
No one's accused you of being dishonest.
And so when we disagree, what we need to do is slide up the table and call me on the phone, come sit on my patio and say, Terry, I got a problem, and I've heard some stuff, and it bothers me. And let me get you an answer.
Well, we've got quite a few issues, but I don't want to take up your whole meeting or anything. You know, I know that you guys have work here to do, and we are neighbors, and I'm not trying to attack you.
Here's what I can believe, and here's what I know. I know that I see the world differently than the people that aren't on this council now. And the reason I'm on this council is because I see the world differently. That's what I know. I know I am honest. I know I'm a Christian. I know before I make a decision, I go into it thoughtfully and prayerfully. I also know that this isn't Terry's government. There's 5 members sitting on this table, sitting around this table. 5 members that I'm going to also assume are thoughtful, prayerful, decent, honest men.
Nobody's really questioning that.
Nobody's questioning that.
So at some point, if we're honest and thoughtful and prayerful, and we've got the vision for the citizens of Algood in our minds, and we're trying to do the right thing, at some point in time, you've got to assume that our judgment is just not always wrong.
No, I'm not saying your judgment's always wrong, but I am saying you are above scrutiny. You're not above scrutiny.
I'm not above scrutiny, and we,
you know, that's what we're here for. We're here to.
But here's and let's just say it while we're being honest with each other. There was a meeting a couple of weeks ago at the Minute Mark. Mm-hmm. And we had a former mayor, 2 former mayors, that one of which was defeated in an election. We had 2 former council members, both which defeated an election, and 1 candidate that was unsuccessful.
I know where that's going, but
no,
I'll tell you what the benefit is to us.
Listen to me. What I'm saying is that the people have spoken. You talk for the people. The people have spoken who their representatives are. Mm-hmm. And their representatives are him, and now her, and him, and him, and me. And they have a voice.
I understand
You
that.
know, that was a very nasty comment you made, Mr. Mayor.
No, ma'am, it's not nasty, it's facts.
You know what you said? You told this all the time. We need a citizens committee. You've said this since you've been in office.
I have a citizens advisory committee.
But you said we need a citizens committee. Of course, you wanted to appoint all those people to the committee. You didn't want someone to come in and say and tell you if you did something wrong. And while you're talking about the expense over there that you didn't mention the property for, did you mention how much it's going to cost to run it? Because all of a sudden, we had $10 million when Mr. Bennett went out. When he was in here, you don't have that anymore. You don't have half of that anymore. This accounting thing that you said was wrong, you had 2 little ladies that ran this office. Now you have 5 or 6, okay? You have 5.
Miss Ben, I'm finished here. If you've got something you want to file officially, you can file it and give it through our
Could I just address that?
I don't know. If we're going to do this all night, no.
I'm not going to keep it up. I just wanted to tell you what the benefit to us of having people that are ex-council members and are ex-mayors is that they know the charter, or that most of us that are just regular citizens, we really don't.
They don't know. They don't know any more than you do. Regular citizen, read it on the website, understand it. I'm not a lawyer.
They know the charter.
Read it and understand it.
They know the charter. And they know number 10 in the charter, and that's, if you'll read that.
I've finished with a meeting.
We've been excused just like Miss Hopkins
No,
was
you're
excused.
welcome.
Miss
I've been
Hopkins was excused from this board long before she was ran off. She
Not-
was discounted and
Not
excused.
during my administration.
I watched it. Goodbye.
That went well.
It'll get better.
I don't, look,
We're gonna be here at all these meetings.
I
So
hope
it's
you
gonna
are.
get better.
I really want you to participate, and I have said that and said that and said that. You guys can vouch for me. It's your government. I want you to participate.
I appreciate you feeling that
But
way.
what we can't do is every time we lose an election, stir up a big pile of stink.
Well,
we can't, and
admit
that's
there's
what
a lot
we've
of these
done.
things I didn't know about
This is a
before.
personal vendetta
Not from everybody though. See,
from your committee, the people that you're running with. That's exactly what it is.
but it's not just my committee. The other people
We had
that are on it have
candidates.
their own.
We had candidates running this election
Mm-hmm.
with the platform. When I get elected, I'm going to see that Jim Eldridge and Victor Jones are gone.
Well, I can tell you right now, Victor Jones has been wonderful to my house. He came over, he picked up a tree that he didn't have to do, and I don't have a problem at all with Victor Jones being the head of Public Works. Now, if you do have an anti-nepotism policy, you can't get around it by saying, okay,
All right.
it's going to be responsible.
Those guys have been there.
someplace else.
No, and that's
I'm
the way.
not trying to
Oh,
make
no,
anybody
no,
do their
no.
job
And
either.
let's address that one too, because that's exactly the way it was handled before I got here.
Yeah.
There is a chain of command that puts Carl Jones under the city administrator, and I said that's just an end run around the rules. Not meant to be that way.
I don't want anybody to
But
lose their
Victor and
job.
Carl have been here for 50 years, and I promise you that we're
I'm
not
just saying,
firing
maybe-
Victor and Carl. Well, no, what we're going to do, my plan, is to exempt anybody that was hired 5 years ago or above from that nepotism policy, because we're clearly not going to enforce that on them. And the only remedy that the MTS lady gives for that is our nepotism policy becomes unenforceable.
That's what I would like to see.
Really,
happen,
no harm, no
is that-
foul.
that's
We're not going to
repealed.
repeal that, because if this were the situation today, if Victor were the public works director and Carl applied for a job, I don't think that's a good idea, and I wouldn't have hired him. But here's the deal, it's been that way for 20 years.
But as
I'm
long
not
as it
firing
is
him.
that way, as long as it is that way, it's not fair to other people. You see?
No, 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 just because you made one wrong don't mean you got to continue to do it.
But if it's
So
wrong,
at
it
some-
shouldn't be done. So I'm
I
saying
didn't
one
do
way or
it,
the
but
other.
at some point you got to stop it.
But you are responsible for it now.
And we're going to stop it in the future. That's the only situation that exists here.
But you know, other people that work here, they might have somebody in their family.
But we're not
that
going
wants
to do it.
Well, I mean, if you're not going to do it, it's not fair.
I'm not going to undo that one, and I'm not going to do it again. Because I didn't do that one. That's the way it was when I got here. And I'm not going to do it again.
Well, you know, we can't pick and choose when we're going to be fair and when
I'm
we're
not
not going to
picking
be
and
fair.
choosing.
But
So what's your fair?
Fair would be to repeal the policy and let anybody not even have the policy.
So you understand what a big old ball of wax that opens up, right? I mean,
Well, if you're going to have it, have it. If you're not going to have it, either or.
okay, so we disagree on that one. I disagree with you. I'm not going to undo Victor and Carl Jones, and we're not going to do it going forward. There's a reason those policies exist. But I'm not going to fire Victor and Carl Jones because they happen to be brothers.
I don't
They have served
advocate
this community
firing
well, and that would be the most chicken crap thing that I could imagine ever doing, is firing two men that have given over 50 years of their life to this government because we put a policy in place last
But see,
week.
again, you go back to the appearance. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Algood, and it's these appearances of impropriety. These appearances of impropriety.
So
that
where
people
were
see.
we with this appearance of impropriety with the Judd administration, with the Fowler administration, with the, how many administrations have we worked under, Victor?
7.
You know how long I've known about this? 2 months.
I'm
So
gonna tell you.
if I had known about this before, I can guarantee you I would have been up here.
I'm
but I didn't.
going to tell you this, and here's what I'm going to tell you again. My heart's in the right place. Continue to dig, continue to do your research, and continue to get to know your representatives on this board, because we're good men.
And I'm hoping that, you know, you guys can take some of the criticisms that we have, and I'm
We're
hoping
going
that
to
you can
have to
take
do
some
it
of
fairly.
the...
We're not going to play through the press, period. We're not going to back and forth. We're not going to use this woman's job to gut somebody. We're not going to be personal about it. we're going to be business about it. I have no personal agenda.
I'm a Christian too, and I don't want to see anybody harmed. Everybody sitting here is my neighbors, and I do love my neighbors. Also, I love my town. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I want you to, you're seeing it from the inside,
No, ma'am.
not from
No,
the
ma'am.
outside.
No, ma'am. I've got this uncanny, crazy curse that I look at a situation from a whole circle and it kills me. But I do it. And it kills me. It's hard to see all sides. It puts the individual right square in the middle, fighting with himself sometimes. But I see it. I see it all the way around. But where your committee wants to deal in black and white, there's a lot of grays in the world. And so, at some point,
Government gets in trouble with grays.
at some point, I predict that you and I are going to be friends. And I predict that you're going to look at me and I predict that you're going to say, you know, that's a good guy. And at some point, you're going to trust me.
I think we're friends right now, and I
at
don't.
some point, you're going to trust me. And at some point, you will. And I promise that. Because I'm not giving you anything not to trust me about. And I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. I do this job for $100 a month. I take time away from my family and my job. And at some point, you're going to be my friend. At some point, you're going to trust me. And at some point, you're going to say, that's a good guy and he's doing a community service. I got no ulterior motive. There's nothing in it for me. It costs me every time I turn around.
I have no political aspirations, and I'm not trying to harm anybody up here. Like I said, there is. If there wasn't a question of ethics, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Well, there's legal differences of opinion. You've got to accept that too.
Yeah.
And just because one lawyer says it is, and one lawyer says it isn't, don't make one right, one wrong. And I've got two that says this is okay. See where I am?
I understand.
So, you okay if we?
Oh, go right ahead. I don't want to keep you guys from doing your work. I need to get home to dinner too.
Mr. Sheriff, I'll turn the meeting over to you now.
I don't have anything. No, there's really not, since our last meeting at the job site, things are moving along. I think, the framers are making up any concern there was for schedule. I think that's gonna go away. I think the framers are making it up.
Looks like they've done quite a bit in the budget now.
Yeah, and the masonry's proceeding. I think the masonry is actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So overall, I think that we're going to be good. The only outstanding potential change we're still talking about is this insulation. And right now, what we're throwing out, we're trying to get it where there's no. It might be a change in a project, but there shouldn't be any cost involved. And when we left the last meeting, Debbie was supposed to give us a cost if we had to put the insulation on top of the ceiling for sound reasons. I called them on the way here and they don't have it yet. So as soon as I get that, I will get it to Jim and we can decide what we can do. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot new to report.
Would it be extra cost if you have to do that?
Well, we probably a little bit. We don't know how much yet. I mean, we talked last meeting. It's going to be less than $1,000, and we don't even know if we have to do it. So that's something we may choose to proceed on, and if it becomes an issue, then we address it. But I don't have those costs yet, so I can't really say what they are. Our goal is, we're trying to not do anything that's going to add any costs to the contract, and I think so far we're doing pretty well, other than the tanks that got discovered. But.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Sheriff?
We don't have a next job site meeting set yet. I was kind of waiting to see when, rather than just have a meeting, I want to try to make sure it's be something good to meet about. So, but I thought hopefully next week we'll pick a date and I'll let you know, Jim, and we can discuss it and whatever.
Good.
Yes,
Guess nobody has any questions. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
have a good night.
You too.
Want to be mayor?
Not for $100 a month. All right, let's see. Everybody have a good one.
You too.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Matthew Tucker, you want to come up and give us a little update on
I haven't really got anything major. Wanted to, I guess, got a couple things I want to give to council for y'all to have to look at. I know y'all been talking about doing some repairs and things on some sidewalks. And so Victor and I went and looked at a few things. Victor and I went and looked at a few things over off Washington, Second Church over earlier this month, and those are just a couple of places that he identified y'all were kind of looking at. But what I wanted to do was leave these maps with you because they're, primarily your downtown area, and if I know that's kind of something, from what I understand, y'all are going to be working towards some repair and replacement and new as time and everything allows. And I want to let y'all have these, and if y'all would, as you go around town, if there's anywhere you see that you guys think that would be a good spot for Victor and them to repair, or if there's a street that you want us to look at some cost estimate for new, if you just mark those up and give them to Victor, and he and I can go through them next time I'm up here, and that way we can do that. I've given Victor some details and things that he asked me for some of the repair work that he's going to be doing, I think, for y'all, in the next few weeks, few months. And so I just printed these out. I wanted to give them to you so y'all could look at them, mark them up, and just get with Victor, and then he and I'll get together, and whatever we need to do on that, we'll work through it.
Man, I don't really want to depend on the council to dictate this. What I like is a comprehensive survey of our sidewalks and their conditions, and whether they're handicap accessible or not.
Okay.
And what's repairable or not. So
okay. I can do that.
I want to mark up all of this. I want to look at all of this.
Okay. I can do that.
Just see where we are and what it costs and where we can go.
Okay. We can do that.
And prioritize what's worse and what's not worse. But to obtain this, I mean, let's go survey the city is not really. That's not going to be.
And we talked about Wall Street before.
Yes.
Well, again,
these two are bad. Wall Street's bad, and the whole city is not handicap accessible.
Right.
So I need a comprehensive survey and a master plan, and we're going to phase this, and we'll fix this stuff just like, we need to identify critical issues. We need to identify safety issues, ADA issues.
Okay.
So,
Victor, no, I'll take it back. This is what we looked at, and that was kind of what I wanted to give you. So
I want you guys to present some.
Victor and I will spend some more time, and we'll finish that up.
Can I interject something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
The only handicapped place, supposedly handicapped place, that side from that corner to that corner, it's this very steep incline.
Right.
And there ain't no getting up it, there ain't no getting down it. When you've got a cane.
Which is exactly where we are on trying to get this fixed.
Please take a look at that.
And Victor and I have looked at a lot of the corners. You've got sidewalk that runs to a spot and then stops, and there's a big grass area between the road and the street, or street and sidewalk. Those are things that some of the details that I've already given him.
I don't think people would have got trouble walking can use our sidewalks, and I know for a fact people that are rolling can't use it. So we need a comprehensive address plan, our emergency stuff, what's got to be fixed right now, what needs to be fixed to make us ADA compliant. I think we need to do that post haste. Okay. And then where our plan for future growth is a whole separate project.
Okay. So we're looking at primarily repairing ADA.
Yeah, and I mean, ideally, you'd like to connect the city. People are walking there. Right. Well, ideally, you'd like to connect the city, but those are things we can do a little at a time. I don't think the repair and replacement and the ADA compliance can wait. I think that needs to move ahead.
Well, we've already got some of that rolling, and we'll continue to get a better list. And then just some other minor things. We're getting ready to start the tank repainting. We'll get a pre-con on that. We've got, I don't know if any of y'all seen the drainage project behind Mr. LaFever's. They've done some staking and layout. We're over there looking at that today, and we're going to get started on that. We've already had the pre-con on it, so we're going to be getting going on
Phase 1, what kind of time frame you looking at, Matthew?
Once they put a shovel in the ground, provided they have good weather, they've told me probably 2 to 3 weeks and they'll be out of there.
Okay.
We've got some phone calls to make sure everybody, T-Deck, Nashville, Cookville's ready to roll with it and we get everybody up to speed, but they've got it staked. We're going to make those phone calls, and once he's given the green light, he's anticipating a couple through this. It's a very, not a big project.
But I feel like once you open that bottleneck up, you're gonna cure it all the way.
We feel like that once we get that open, we're really gonna take a lot of that and push it where it needs to go. And then we've also got some other issues that we're gonna continue to work on, but that's the primary problem in that area.
Good deal.
I've left.
You want to speak to that, Burton Branch? You know about that?
What have I got here?
Well, they've estimated if we redesign it.
Oh, is this the, okay.
You don't have a copy of that?
I did not get copy on this, no sir. Let me see. What it costs, possibly for the redesign to my technical.
We just received this, what, about a week? Less than a week ago?
They didn't CC.
Yeah, they didn't CC.
Got a copy in here?
Yes, sir. It should probably be in the very back. You got it right there.
Bear with me just a second. I'm scanning it in. All right, what they're saying here is basically, Chief Victor, I think y'all were, we were all at this meeting. To bring some of the new up, just real quick up to speed, we submitted for a state industrial access road for the expansion of institutional wholesale in 2009 to DDOT. The initial application was submitted with 2 full driving lanes and a turn lane. Under the SIA, the standard template is 2 driving lanes and gravel shoulders. So it was sent to the city that the 3rd lane that was to be added would be, the cost of that would be borne by the city of Algood. The way the project works is TDOT does all the acquisition, or does all the survey and design. They pay for all the construction, less anything you add extra. And the city's only responsibility is 1/2 the cost of right-of-way acquisition and 1/2 the cost of any utilities that have to be relocated at the expense of the city. And that's a right-of-way private issue. There's some things that are off right-of-way that right now that the city wouldn't have to pay for, but there are some things that are on right-of-way the city would be expected to pay for. The city got that proposed cost, and this council and this administration said, why did we add the 3rd turn lane? And I said, because the previous administration asked me to, and this administration said, we don't feel like we need it. And I'm just paraphrasing. So,
I don't feel like we won't spend that much money.
well, so the chief and Victor and I went to a meeting with TDOT, and they were having their right, they call it a right-of-way review, where they go over the project and talk about things. And it was presented to them, we would like for you to look at the cost of taking the turn lane out and just making it the regular template, which is the 2 paved lanes with the gravel shoulders. They said they would look at it and they would get back to us with what the cost of making that change. The letter that the mayor's just giving me a copy of basically says that the 2 options the city has, by removing the turn lane, they're basically saying that all of the costs for the 3rd lane would be removed and they're not going to charge you anything additional for those design revisions. They anticipate that the right-of-way acquisition, purchasing of the property, because anybody that's been down Burton Branch knows it has a really awful dogleg corner right at the one end. They're going to make that a sweeping radius turn, which is, it should have been when the state done it a long time ago, but that's neither here nor there. And because of that, they've got to buy that corner plot and a couple of pieces of property right through there, along with a little bit of frontage from a couple of other property owners. So TDOT is estimating that that acquisition is going to be about $1.2 million. At 50% of that, the city's share of that would be $627,250. Then they have some utilities that they have said total estimate, and then they have a reimbursable estimate, which is the TDOT's way of saying we feel like this is on right away and you should pay to move it, basically. Or off right away, excuse me. It's off right away right now, and it should be partially yours to bear to pay that cost. They anticipate the reimbursable expense at $152,000. So the city's portion of that would be $76,140. So the total cost of the project that the city of Algood would be asked to put up would be $703,390, which is primarily that right-of-way cost. The right-of-way cost is obviously just an estimate, and some of those property owners, this negotiated, that number could be up or down from that, depending on how they break that out. So what this letter basically is saying is that if the city should want to move forward with this project, the right-of-way acquisition and a portion of the utilities cost would be theirs to assume, and that would be $704,000 to do the redesign project. They did not, basically they said, they did what they said they would do, and they said, we won't charge you anything to redesign it. So
that figure's not a great deal less than the other figure.
And then,
the other figure was in old dollars, so.
Yeah, 3 years old.
And then it says if the city should choose to walk away from this project, the actual cost that you would be asked to pay would be the preliminary engineering design surveying fee, which at this time is $173,125.73. So, based on the way I read this letter, they have brought back to the city the options of a redesigned 2-lane road with acquisition of approximately $700,000, or you walk away from where it is now, and you're going to be paid. You're going to be asked to pay those design fees that the consultants that hired by TDOT has put out, and that's the $175,000. Now, to put that all in some other perspective, so you all have some other numbers, the estimated construction cost for the road is $888, and so the total project of everything is approximately $1.7 million. So basically, they're saying you can have nearly a $2 million project for $700,000, or you can walk away for $170,000. That's basically what that says.
Yeah, if I were done our spread now, it looks like you gotta go.
So I have not. Ron, can you email me a copy of this?
I can get you a copy. They just mailed it to me.
Oh, they mailed it to you?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all they did was mailed it to me. I noticed they didn't CC.
And I'll be more than happy to talk to Miss Amber. I've talked to her some in the past and confirm some of those things. But okay.
Take that. Ron, give me another copy. Yeah, he's having that.
I'll contact her and confirm some of these things again. I didn't get copied on it, so I just flying by the seat there.
Ask her what the time frame is on this. I know at one point they'd asked for some money to be deposited, so.
Right. Well,
Ask her what their
if
time frame is now.
I believe we initially asked them for the numbers for the redesign, about 5-6 months ago. So I'll check with her and see what their spread is on how they're wanting to move forward.
We've got 2 or 3 pretty good sized businesses up along Burton Branch with the potential for more. I know there's a couple empty buildings sitting out there.
You have institutional wholesale, which I'm under the impression that sometime in the future is going to be expanding their refrigeration unit, because that was a big question right away.
You've got SEC and REI.
REI is expanded. SEC, REI and institutional were the initial businesses that drove this.
Right.
And now institutional is actually talking sometime in the future they're going to be doing more.
Right.
I don't know what REI's plans are. You've got SEC, you've got the We used to be the book distributorship, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still.
No, that's the empty building I was talking about. We know what's there. I'm thinking about potential
You've got a lot of
coming
warehouse
in
space and
if
stuff
we
like
do
that.
have the,
Well, and the common sense approach on this is to downsize the project. I mean, that was too much what it was. And you know, the industry leaders out there don't object to not having a paved shoulder. I mean, it didn't really affect. So, that turning lane was just expensive. And
but it addresses a couple of issues too. It takes out the bad curve, makes it a sweeping curve, it widens the lanes, it actually gets it paved, which it needs, and it's desperate need of that.
And
the standards on the
I'll give you,
Right.
just the whole thing started with, we need to pave this road.
Right.
I'll just, for y'all that, you know, new and old, that was the first conversation that was had, hey, we need to pave the road. And then there was investigation, hey, the SIA, they'll do it for us for free if we pay right away, or pay position, and so it snowballed to, and then peeled off. And
no,
because
it's still not paved.
still not paved, what, 3 or 4 years later, so. But
Maybe like Quinn Lake project.
Turning at the speed of government.
so, I left with Vaughn. I just want to make you or the council aware. Chief and I have talked a little bit because of the question about permitting for the next phase of the drainage. I've left with Vaughn some permits just for you to sign. We're going to go ahead and start the permit process. When it's ready, we'll be ready for it. If it's another year and y'all want to work in the next budget, we can do that too. But we want to go ahead and at least get that process started because it may be a drawn one. So, I don't think I have anything else that is on my mind. You've got a lot of things to sign tomorrow, just contracts and stuff. Other than that, nothing that needs actual action, just things that have already been acted on and need to be taken care of. Unless you all have
In
any,
blue ink, and y'all have a zero. Right?
these are bound in books. Can't
That
zero out.
that was the state wanting the blue ink and the.
Oh, blue or black's fine with me, you purple. All right,
I've signed
but
3 or 4
you,
copies of everything an engineer or architect sends up here. I don't know why we can't just sign one and make copies of it. It's all right.
everybody needs an original.
I know. It's not original, so change it, is it? We don't have the same thing.
Alright, anybody got anything else for me?
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
I'll talk to you, we'll get together this week.
Pretty good extemporaneous speaking there too.
Hey, part of what I gotta do, man.
sometimes you have to do it on the
I
fly.
don't want to fly,
Do it
man.
on the fly.
Well, that's one of those odd things that I probably am more familiar with than anybody else in this room because I actually filed the original application. It's my fault, but it was my fault at somebody else's direction, I guess is a good way to put it.
Just doing what you were asked to.
I was just doing what y'all told me to. Well, not y'all, but
You need this.
Somebody sitting around this table.
yeah, keep that. I'll take that one. There's one of the whole CD.
Okay,
It's a big
yes.
map.
I guess we.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you, Matt. We take a quick look at the agenda. You notice you got 2 agendas in the packet. The present city council now will act on the first agenda, and you've looked it over, and you'll be voting on some zoning changes on RC book and looking at the certified election returns. And on the second agenda, Mayor Fouch will take a brief recess and open up into the second agenda. And this is where the new council-elect, Councilwoman Green and Councilwoman Norris will take the oath of office by the city judge. Judge Jeff Bass will be administering the oath of office. And after that's done, they'll take their seats. And then the new city council will consider resolutions on honoring the 2 outgoing council people. And you'll also have coming before you tomorrow night to appoint a vice mayor.
And I plan to nominate you Adams as vice mayor with your consent.
Other than that, that's all that will be on the agenda. Does any of the department heads have anything that they need to bring up at this time?
Well, I just wanted to say, you know, we had talked to MTS about the sanitation truck mayor, and we did get a letter back on that, and she said it was good to go.
Okay, so you're expecting that?
Yes. So what we're hoping to do is to have a bid opening, is have a bid opening in the next council session.
So you're gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
Good.
With that,
I'm good, Chief, thank you.
Victor, with that, if you do have that bid opening next council session, what are you looking at time frame wise getting one on site?
You're looking at February.
Assuming it's approved. Thank
Let's
you.
back up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
February, March,
Okay,
2013.
okay. Thank you.
How many bids you think you're gonna have coming out on that?
I'm assuming in the past, there's always been at least 3 to 4 come in. I know there'll be 3.
Yeah.
Y'all good?
Good, thank you.
Any of the council have anything? Council-elect Green, do you have anything? Council-elect Norris? Mayor Fouch?
Yeah, I just want to apologize to the room. I get a little emotional sometimes, so if I didn't handle that as well as maybe I should have done, I just apologize to the room.
No, you're fine.
If nobody else has anything, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you very much.